Okay, guys, welcome to the next class. Glad to have you all here. Welcome, Ade. I think Sam has just joined. Hi, Mick. Chi, I don't know where Chi is, so hopefully she'll either catch up with the recording or she'll join in a bit. Hope you're all well and everyone is doing great. Is everyone all right? Can everyone confirm whether they can actually see my screen? Because
Yeah,
yeah, okay, that's good. Can you see what it says, what you will learn today?
yeah, other blocks,
Okay, that's
mitigation,
fine. Thank you
something like
very much. That's perfect. All right. Guys, we've moved on to the intermediate level of our training. So congratulations to you, Mike, for moving on to the next phase. So what we're going to be covering today will be order block mitigation and imbalance. Yeah, I think we'll leave liquidity for another day. I think Sam will be covering that on a separate day. Sam. Okay, just starting with order block. If I could have you put yourselves on mute, unless you have any questions, that would be awesome. So if you can mute yourself until you have questions. Perfect, guys. Okay, I know maybe Ade, you might be familiar with this concept called order block. Mike, you will not be familiar with it at all, but you will see it on the charts, especially when you guys do the homework, basically, right? How do I explain an order block in the simplest way? An order block is basically large blocks of orders, yeah, or large blocks of order forms in the market, right? And these orders are used to either buy or sell, yeah? So buy or sell currencies. So like your big banks or your big trading institutions usually create these order blocks, yeah? So basically, they use these order blocks to identify the best areas to enter their trades and exit their trades. And that's what we do as well. Okay. That is basically the simplest explanation of an order block. But Sam, if you do want to add anything at any point, just feel free to add. Okay. They are like what we call your supply or demand zones, which we'll get to in one of the, not the next session, but after that, basically. And these zones are basically where your big players, your big boys, can find the comfort of placing trades. So your buy order or your sell order, basically. So your big transactions. This is basically where they would place their trades. Yeah. And this is where you and I will spot these places in the market, these supply zones, these demand zones, and also try to make sure that we enter our trades from any valid supply and demand zones, basically. Yeah. Um, if I have lost you, don't worry because we're going to go into the charts and you will definitely see like examples of what I'm talking about, right? So don't worry. So I think it's probably best if I do just pick a chart, actually, yeah, that way. Just let me know if you can still see my screen because I've only got one screen, so can you still see it?
No, no.
It should hopefully come up in a second. Can you see my screen?
Nothing now.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So just before I even show you like what it looks like on a chart, yeah? Typically, I say typically because there are different types of or different forms of order blocks. You have order blocks that look like this. Basically, you have um order block with a body, with a small body and a big body, if that makes sense. So something like this would look like an order block. or would be an order block. Sorry, not look like an order block. So something like this would be an order block. Something like this would be an order block. Or you could have a mixture of color. So it could be a green color with a red color, or a red color with a green color. So something like this, basically, would be an order block. Yeah. You could also have order blocks that look like this. As long as the second candle next to this candle on the left is engulfing the candle. So if it's basically taking it over, does that make sense? If this candle, this second candle is bigger than this candle here, it's typically an order block. And I use the word typically because it's just a caveat, basically. Yeah. As long as it's bigger than this, it is an order block. Yeah. Now, there are different types of order blocks. When I say different types of order blocks, I mean like valid and invalid order blocks. Because not all order blocks will you as a trader be able to buy and sell from and have that your limit or your sell or your buy activate and take off from there, because not all order blocks are valid. So I think it takes a bit of skill, a bit of mastery to be able to understand which order blocks are typically valid order blocks. But if we have to go into what is a valid order block or what is a high probability order block, I'll get into that in a minute. But I just want to show you practical examples in the chart to show you what an order block looks like. So basically you have, if you can still see, you have this here. Yeah, so you've got this black candle and this long, big green candle engulfing this black candle. This is a typical example of an order block. Okay. So you also have something like this. You've got this black candle, and then you've got this long green candle, and it can be a small green candle and a long black candle. It doesn't matter the color, or it could be the same color. This is also an order block. Yeah. This is also an order block. This can also be an order block. Can you see what I mean? Yeah. An order block is basically so if you're looking for an uptrend, for example, yeah. So you know what I mean when I talk about uptrend, when price is doing this, basically, yeah. Typically, you'll find your order blocks. Typically, you find your order blocks in your demand area. So with an uptrend, your order blocks would be in your demand zones, and your demand zones is like your bottom zones, yeah. Mike and Ade, yeah. These are where you would find your order blocks. But that's not to say that you will not find an order block here. You will definitely find it, but you know, from a structural perspective, your order blocks would be in your demand zones, or you might see some order blocks in between as well. And these order blocks may be valid or may not be valid. It basically depends, yeah. So if you're in an uptrend, like how we're in an uptrend here, just going to use an example. I've drawn out all my examples. It's just easier for me to do it without having to start drawing things out for you. Maybe I can use this example. Right, yeah. So if you're in an uptrend, for example, as you can see, Mike, we've gone through like this example before where we drew the high, 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 low, etc. So you're in an uptrend. You can tell that market is going up and up and up, yeah? This is basically your last down candle before the up move. So this is your last down candle, which is this black candle before this up move. That is the simplest way to explain what an order block is. Your last down candle, I hope you're writing this down, your last down candle before the up move, yeah? Your last down candle before your up move. This is when you're in an uptrend, yeah? And if you're in a downtrend, this would typically be This is an example. I'm just using this as an example. Not that we're in a downtrend in this chart, but I'm just using this order block as an example just to show you. Yeah. If you are in a downtrend, yeah, this would be your last up candle. So your last up candle before the down move. So your last up candle before the down moves. Does that make sense? I need to hear a yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Like I said, this is not a silent class. I'm not expecting people to keep quiet. So if I say, does it make sense? I expect an answer from everyone, including you, Ade. Okay. All right. So that's basically what an order block is. There are different types of order blocks in the market, different types. Some of them are valid, some of them are not valid, some of them are just there. Like price may come into it and may not react the way you think it will react, and you'll be wondering why. Now, when I talk about different types, I'm talking about like high probability order blocks, yeah, and low probability. Don't need to concern yourself with anything low probability, because if you understand what high probability order block is, then you can typically not think about what low probability is. So when I talk about high probability order blocks, I mean order blocks that should have something we call an imbalance. Yeah. An imbalance is basically a gap in the market, which I will explain in a minute. It should have a gap. Yeah. So the order block should come with a gap in the market. Yeah. Typically, the order block should also break structure and give you like a change of character in the market. It should break structure, BOS, break structure like this now. This broke structure. It has an imbalance, which I will explain in a minute. And also, it should sweep liquidity, which Sam will go through in the next session. The concept of liquidity, he will go through in the next session. So just remember that the high probability order blocks would sweep liquidity, would break structure, and would contain an imbalance. Yeah. Now, what is an imbalance? You will ask. Let me just get rid of. All right, let me get rid of all these drawings. And my notes. Okay. So what is an imbalance, guys? Basically, to make it easy, yeah, it's basically where you have like a gap in the market. Yeah. So when I talk about a gap in the market, if you look at this order block, for example, you will see that there is a gap between here and here. Can you see there's a gap? Basically, there's nothing next to it. It's just basically this. Does that make sense? Mike, Ade?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, let me explain again. So basically, yeah, where we find imbalance is where we find gaps in the market. Basically, what that means is when you look at the right-hand side, when you look at the right-hand side, there's nothing there. Just pretend that these things are not here. Pretend, hold on. Do I have the replay button? Does that work? Okay, perfect. Yeah, you can still see the screen. Basically, there's nothing on the right-hand side of this candle, right?
Okay.
And you have this gap. There's no wick. There's nothing. It's just basically one long candle with a gap. You don't see any other candles next to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you another example. This is also an imbalance. between here and up here. So in between is an imbalance because there's nothing next to it. There's no wick, there's no body, there's no candle next to it, yeah?
But they are on top of it.
On top, but
Just
not in between.
next to. Okay.
Yeah? On top, yes, but not in between. Yeah? So here is like a gap.
Okay.
However, if you had a candle, if this candle actually entered here, right? And filled
Sure.
up the whole place, you will not call it, you will no longer call this one an imbalance because there's no gap, because there's a candle here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now taking this one for example now, right? You have an imbalance here. However, so at this particular point on the 23rd of March, you had an imbalance, you had a gap here. However, we started moving, price started moving, and then this gap started being filled with wick and body. So therefore, the whole thing is no longer in balance, right? What is now the imbalance is between this top one and this one, no longer the one at the bottom. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? The gap is now here. Yeah?
I don't really understand that part.
What I'm saying is, yeah, before let me just cut this, right? So that it'll make it clearer. So as you can see, when you look at this chart right now, you can see this big gappy area. Yeah. So between here and here, there's no wick, there's no body. Can you see it? There's nothing here, right? It's just this long candle here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you don't see any other candle entering this area as of yet. When you see it is now, right? Now, price has now entered into this area. So we can't say this whole thing is an imbalance anymore. It will only be this area that is still the imbalance. This area that price has not entered. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Ade, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. Let me just quickly play this. Let's see whether, okay. Now, you can no longer say that this is an imbalance. Why? Because price has completely filled it up. Price has come and filled it up. So this is no longer an imbalance. And typically, imbalances have to be filled up in the market. Yeah? Imbalances or imbalance has to be filled up, or gaps have to be filled up in the market. Yeah? Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll take another example. Let me just keep playing. Okay, I need you to tell me, do you see an imbalance here? So can you just quickly annotate the screen and show me where it is? Can you annotate, Mick? Can you annotate the screen and show me where the imbalance is? I've put you on mute. Well, can you annotate your screen?
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
So can you show me where the imbalance is? Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. The imbalance is between here and there. But if price decides that, okay, it wants to now come and fill it up, right? Like the candles come down. it will no longer be an imbalance because it's already been filled up. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. All right, Ade, can you show me? I'm about to play the rest of the chart. Can you show me when you look at this where the imbalance is? Can you annotate your screen for me? In fact, don't do this one because I've already done this one. Not this one. Let's find a different one. Okay. Can you show me when you look at this where the imbalance is? Okay, let me explain. Are you able to clear your drawing? You're right and wrong. You're right. Well, I'll show you. So basically, you see this area between here and here is the imbalance. Why is it an imbalance? Because there's no wick, there's no body. Drawing this whole thing as an imbalance isn't right because there's a wick at the end. Does that make sense? The wick is joining with this other candle. If you do all of this, you can't say it's an imbalance because the wick is basically touching the next candle. So the best thing to do is to draw it like this, where there is a complete gap, yeah, where wicks are not touching anything. So you've got two different imbalances. Does that make sense? I really need fast responses. Time is of the essence.
I'm replying.
Sorry, I was logged out before, so I was back on that, so I didn't get that.
Ade was just drawing the imbalance basically. And I was just saying that he drew this whole thing as an imbalance. And I was just saying that no, the whole thing cannot be an imbalance because the wick of this one, the wick here touched the wick of this one. An imbalance is basically where you see a complete gap, yeah, between the previous candle and the candle next to it, right? So the imbalance here is these two because you can't see anything else next to it. There's no wick touching anywhere in this space or in this gap. There are no wicks in this gap. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Just like here. This is a wick here, and this is a wick here. So in between these two wicks, you have this space. Yeah? This space is your imbalance. Okay? Another example, in between this wick and this wick here, you have this space. This space is your imbalance. This is just very tiny. From this wick here to this wick here. This middle space is your imbalance. Yeah? Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you look at, if you could clear your annotation, it would be. And then when you look at this area, you see there's a wick here, and you see there's a wick here or candle here. So the area between here and here is your imbalance. That space is your imbalance. So Ade, can you show me the imbalance here? Where's the imbalance?
Between this top things and like,
Okay, so between here and here is your imbalance. Well done, because there is space. Yeah. When price comes and fills in this gap, then you know that there's no longer an imbalance. Now, Mike, can you show me imbalance here in this area? Can you show me? Great, that is it. Exactly. This is the imbalance here. And obviously we have an imbalance here as well. Until price decides to fill it up and it no longer becomes an imbalance. There's no more imbalance there. The price has filled it up. Yeah. Okay. And price has now filled this one up. So there's no longer an imbalance. It's no longer called an imbalance. So it's filled it up. Now, I mentioned order block earlier on. Yeah, that was the first thing I spoke about. Order block is basically in an uptrend, the last down candle before the up move, right? That's what I said. And with the downtrend for an order block is the last up candle before the down move, right? Uptrend, the last bearish candle before the upward move. Downtrend is the last bullish candle before the downward move. So this is an example of a uptrend order block. This is an example of an order block. Yeah, uptrend order block. The last bearish candle before the up move. The last down candle before the up move. Remember that. And with a downtrend, this is your last bullish candle before the down move. Your last up candle before your down move in a downtrend. That is what your order block is. Right. I'm going to pick something random and I want you guys to show me, in fact, show me where the order block is. Mike, show me where the order block is in this chart. Just circle it for me. Perfect. Okay. And Ade, show me where an order block is on this chart. Okay, that is good. So this is it. Yeah, that's good. You guys got it. So that's quite simple. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any questions?
no,
Okay, that's fine. All right, guys. So I'm gonna clear this. 1 second, clear all drawings. Okay, guys. Okay, now that we have established what an order block is, yeah, and we've spoken about imbalances, and we've also spoken about potentially high probability order blocks, right? I mentioned, what are the 3 things I mentioned when I spoke about high probability order blocks? Which ones are they?
he said it must sweep liquidity, it must break structure, and it must have an imbalance.
Yes, those are your typical high probability order blocks. Exactly. Those are your high probability order blocks. Mike, did you understand what Ade said?
No, no.
So earlier on, I mentioned that there are high probability order blocks. And when I talk about high probability order blocks, I mean where price is likely to come back to and react from to either buy or sell. So something like this. This is like an order block, right? See this? This is an order block. The last candle before the up move. This is your order block here. And I said that there are some high probability ones that price will come there and react from, right? And there are three characteristics that I mentioned. Order blocks that will sweep liquidity, order block that will break structure, and order block that will contain imbalance. If you look at this order block here, yeah? Let me just delete for a second. If you look at this order block right here, you can see that it contains an imbalance. Look at the imbalance, yeah? From here to here. This is your imbalance, okay? This is your sweep of liquidity, which we will not touch on in this lesson, but let me just mention it. Sam will touch on that. Basically, Sam, you might be better at explaining this because I can see it, it's just difficult to explain. When I say sweep liquidity, basically what I mean is basically you see this last week, this order block here, this order block came here and took it out, basically.
My just continue since the class is not for today. Or are you talking about are we talking about liquidity today?
No, I said I'm not going to talk about liquidity today, but if you like to talk about it, that is
No,
fine.
that's another class entirely. So just
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. Just remember that it would also sweep liquidity. It will contain an imbalance, and typically it will break structure. If you can see, it broke structure here. Can you see that structure that was broken? Am I talking to myself?
No. Can see.
He can hear you.
Yeah, I just need positive responses when I speak. So yeah, it's broken structure. Now, there is this thing called mitigation, basically, yeah? How do I explain it? Mitigation, yeah, is like a reversal, it's like a reversal pattern formed when, say, the price fails to make maybe like a higher high or lower low. So in simple terms, I'm going to show you on the screen because I think it makes more sense when you show these things, yeah? So this is basically when price comes back to that order block area. So you see we have an order block here, yeah? This area, this whole order block. All of this is an order block, don't get me wrong, but you see this block? This is the main block. Does that make sense? This is the move before the uptrend. So we've got this order block here, right? We also have an imbalance, which we also consider, but these things will be clearer as we go along, yeah? So prices come back to this order block area. And this is where price has come back. This is what we call mitigation. When price comes back, so price has gone and done its work. It's gone up, all the way up, and comes and reacts back to this area before shooting off finally. Yeah? This is what we call mitigation. When price comes back to respect this area. When price comes back to respect this area. When price comes back to react to this area. When price comes back to react to this area. Do you understand? Without actually breaking down and going further down. You see, it came here, it started forming its price action and went up. This is what we call mitigation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In simple terms, mitigation is when price returns to retest the order block.
I have a question.
You may go ahead.
And what if price dips below this other block and push
Are you using earpiece or Madi? Because I can't seem to hear you clearly since you've been speaking. Sis.
If price breaks below this order block and just continues selling with this black candle, it is something we call a breaker, which we won't get into in this lesson. It will no longer be valid for the buy. This order block will no longer be valid to buy from.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, can you hear me now clearly?
Yeah, it's clear now. Do you just remove your earpiece or something?
Yeah.
Okay, it's clear now without your earpiece.
Mike, did you have any questions? Did that make sense to you?
I'm good for now.
Okay. So this is another order block, right? This area. Yeah. This is the last candle before the upward move, right? You can see price went up, all the way up. Price went all the way up, guys. All the way up like this, and came back to retest this area. And price bought from there. Sometimes price will come back and retest again, right? It does happen. It doesn't always retest and go off and never comes back. Sometimes it does it twice. But this is a skill that you need to master when you look at the charts and understand a bit more about prices behavior on certain charts. Yeah, sometimes it will come and retest it again and it will shoot off. And if it does not break this area, that's when you say price has respected this order block. So in this instance, it didn't break it. It didn't break this order block. It's respected it and it's bought from there. So typically, we would buy from this area if we had to buy from this area. But that's not our secret sauce. But from a smart money perspective, if you had to enter the trade, you enter from this area. But as time goes by, we'll unleash how we really trade for you to really understand how it works. If price breaks,
Just checking.
Yeah.
That secret sauce, when exactly we're gonna know? Say very soon.
I mean, Mike, what you need to understand is you can't rush these things because if you rush it,
Fucked up.
your money will disappear.
Yeah.
What you just need to focus on is making sure that you do the homework in a timely manner and deliver that homework and you understand what is happening. And not just doing the homework, but also in your own time going to look at the charts, yeah? And also asking questions. When you see something you're not clear about, you just send a question in the WhatsApp group. I've just drawn market structure. Is this correct? Is this break of structure correct? I know we set homework, but you also have to do your own homework by yourself. You cannot rush this process.
Okay.
If you rush this process, you will regret it.
Okay.
Take it from the people who have been there that did not have mentors. Me and Sam did not have mentors. We had to learn and figure out and make mistakes. So we're trying to stop you from making that mistake. So there's no need to rush at all. We'll get there when we get there.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. So if price breaks this zone now and it goes down instead, it no longer respects this. That is what we call a breaker. Yeah? It's just basically what we call a breaker. That's all we need to know about breakers for now. Okay. So I want you guys to have this picture in your head. This particular picture in your head. Make it smaller. Hold on a second. This particular picture in your head. This is basically order block imbalance mitigation. If you want to screenshot, feel free to screenshot. Feel free to screenshot if you want to screenshot.
You
But
can
this-
just do the screenshot, the way it is just now. Just do the screenshot and then send it to their group.
Okay, no worries. I'll do that.
Telegram group will be better because Telegram group will be clearer than WhatsApp. WhatsApp will blow the video. We blow the image rather.
That's fine. That's fine. This is basically it. And I hope that made sense for everybody because you're going to be set homework.
Okay.
Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm gonna Sam, do you want to say anything before I stop recording and set homework?
Basically, I think you've actually you've done the whole thing. So the reason I would just say is what you've even said, what you've talked about, which means they need to go and mark it on their own mark it, send it to the group whenever they want, whenever, because we'll always be there to check whatever they've sent to the group.
Sorry, yes, exactly. Yeah.
So that's just the thing. So we've actually mentioned the whole thing. It's very clear. Everything you explained is very clear.
This is your homework. Make it 5 examples each. Does that make sense? Mark uptrend and downtrend order blocks. So you know that this is uptrend order block. Find the downtrend order blocks too. So 5 examples of each. So use screenshots or screenshots with you. You can use screenshot or you can screenshot using this. I know Mike said he didn't know how to do it before. But let me just show you what you need to do. How do you even screenshot here? You see this button, this camera button, where it says take a snapshot, yeah? Click on it and click on copy image. And then you copy what you want to copy. I think it automatically copies it, doesn't it, Sam? It's automatically copied it.
Actually copy, yeah, sure.
Yes. So if you want to paste it, you can see that. You can just paste it like this. Do you get that? We see what you've done. So put that all in a Word document and send to the Telegram or WhatsApp group, right? You need to send examples of uptrend and downtrend order blocks. Mark the imbalance within the order blocks that you find. That's what I want.
How do you ask them to submit this in a document? You mean in what type of document?
I just said Word documents, Microsoft Word.
Oh, okay.
And then show the mitigation of that order block. Do not use this example because I've used this example already. There's so many different examples on the chart. And I want you guys to use the 4-hour time frame for this.
You
Yeah?
can just put it there, 4-hour time frame. Just put it there, so that. Exactly.
That is the homework. So that's basically it. Nice and easy to do. Any further questions?
No.
Mike?
I'm good.
Okay, fine. All right. Well, guys,
When
Thanks
are
for
they going
joining.
to, when should they submit the assignment?
They should use your church mind about when I say submit assignments. Because if you're submitting an assignment 1 week later, you're telling me that you're not serious. So if you're not serious, I cannot be serious with you.
No, we'll be done.
Not a difficult assignment to do. So yeah. So you guys think about when you want to submit the assignment. Okay.
No problem.
All right. Well, thank you for coming, guys. It's been lovely as usual. And I will upload this on the private channel on YouTube. Ade, can you send your email in the WhatsApp community? Sorry, not the WhatsApp community, but the one that I just added you to. Just put your
Okay.
email address there so that you can have access to this recording on YouTube.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys.